Soulwax, composed of David Dewaele, Steven Dewaele and Stefaan van Leuven, are an alternative rock electronic band from Ghent, Belgium. They were first noticed after the release of their album Much Against Everyone's Advice, but after that the Dewaeles started focusing on their other projects such as Two Minutes. Their album as heard on Radio Soulwax, PT2 was named the best popular music album of 2002 by the New York Times. They were also hosting a show on Belgian television, Alter 8. Biography Career The 2004 album Any Minute Now spawned 3 singles in E-Talking, NY Excuse, and the title track. E-Talking's music video was controversial and restricted to post-watershed broadcast on music television channels. Set in London's Fabric nightclub, everyone in the video is depicted as being on a different drug, from AZ. 1. The group has also produced a number of official and unofficial remixes, including Daft Punk is Playing at My House, and Get Innocuous by LCD Soundsystem, Robot Rock by Daft Punk and Dare by Gorillaz. David and Stephen are friends of artists Tiga, LCD Soundsystem and Woma Duho. The album Night Versions is a collection of remixes of tracks from the album Any Minute Now. In January 2006, Soulwax released their second remix album. The album, titled This Is Radio Soulwax, was cover-mount into the February 2006 issue of Mixmag. Their third remix album, Part of Nine Never Dies, was also cover-mount into Mixmag, this time in late 2008. In summer 2006, Soulwax completed a night version remix of Gossip's Standing in the Way of Control, as well as their Ravelite dub and Ravelite vocal mix of Robbie Williams' Love Light. The summer 2006 tour was filmed by director Sam Faramand, and resulted in a Radio Soulwax documentary, Radio Soulwax. In August 2006, Soulwax were working on tracks for the new album from Tiga. In late 2006, it was announced in Belgian magazine HUMO that David and Steven Dewaele had formed a band with Shane Doran and his brother-in-law Fergadelic called Die Verboten. In 2007, Soulwax produced remixes of Gravity's Rainbow by Klaxons, and Phantom Point 2 by Justice. Remixes for Ice Cream by New Young Pony Club and Pogo by Digitalism had been rumored, but were never completed. Soulwax, under the guise of Two Minutes, headlined their own Radio Soulwax tent at the Rock Ness Festival held on June 9, 2007. The following day at Rock Ness Festival, he played a Soulwax Night Versions show in the Clash Arena. Later that month, they took part in the Wild in the Country event at Knebworth Park on June 30, 2007. In December 2007, they held Radio Soulwax Maz, a massive X-Maz party in Flanders Expo with guests such as Tiga, Iril Alkan, Boys Noise, Justice, Riton, Mixel, Daniel Baldelli, Hong Kong Dong, Das Pop, Goose, Milk Incorporated, etc. Soulwax have also produced the debut album by fellow Belgians Das Pop. The album will be released in the UK in 2009. In 2009 December, Soulwax produced a song, entitled We Love Animals, for Crookers with Mixel. In addition, Soulwax produced the song Talk to Me by Peaches. As heard on Radio Soulwax the only official compilation as heard on Radio Soulwax .2, was released in 2002 and is composed of 45 tracks the Dewaele brothers were able to clear the rights from. They originally requested rights for 187 tracks and got clearances for 114 of them. 62 were refused and 11 remained untraceable. All the unofficial releases are in fact a compilation of the Radio Soulwax shows Two Minutes did for various radios including Studio Brussels, Radio 1, Kiss 100 and Danes Live. Vivid Sydney 2011 As part of the Vivid Live Festival in Sydney, David and Steven Dewaele behind Two Minutes and electro-rock outfit Soulwax presented a one-off series of radio shows on Triple J Australian national radio station. The series was broadcast nationally 6 p.m. nightly from May 31, 2011 to June 3, 2011. Other work The 2001 track theme from Discover K is by David and Steven Dewaele from Soulwax, under the name Samantha Fu. They produced this track for a Ghent-based dancer group called Kung Fu. On February 2, 2009, Soulwax made a guest appearance on BBC Radio 1, playing 420 song introductions in a period of 60 minutes. Film In 2004 Soulwax compiled the soundtrack for the Belgian movie Steve Plus Sky. Soulwax contributed 3 instrumental tracks on this compilation under the name Kawasaki. Soulwax's remix of the Rolling Stones' You Can't Always Get What You Want is the credit song of, and featured in the movie 21. Director Sam Faramand has filmed Soulwax on their international dates, capturing all the excitement, chaos and humor of the world tour. Soulwax filmed 120 shows with one camera in Europe, Japan, US, Latin America and Australia. This resulted in 2 films entitled Part of the Weekend Never Dies, a live music film, and a documentary which includes 2 manages, Soulwax night versions, and features James Murphy, Nancy Wang, Errol Alkan, Tiga, Justice, Busy P, The Naked Guy, So Me, Peaches, Kitsuna Copyright, Klaxons and many more in behind-the-scenes footage, interviews, etc. As of April 2008, Soulwax's clubbing film documentary Radio Soulwax is finished. They performed a sold-out gig at the London Royal Festival Hall, during which they did a premiere of the film. It came out on DVD September 2008. Radio Soulwax Soulwax's current project is a website called Radio Soulwax, in which a continuous mix will be playing all day. It will feature 24-hour-long mixes with visuals similar to those used in the 2 managed live sets, and will include music from many different decades. After they complete this project, they have stated in interviews that they will work on their next studio album. Soulwax Machine was conceived and directed by Sam Faramand, who was inspired to create an interpretation of the ethos behind the project. The result is a film featuring renowned model Marilyn Rose that encapsulates the audio-visual obsession of Radio Soulwax. The film was pre-visualized, edited and post-produced by the House of Curves in London. Soulwax FM Soulwax contributed to the soundtrack of Grand Theft Auto V. They hosted and supplied of the playlist to the in-game radio station Soulwax FM. Discography Albums Leave the Story Untold, Much Against Everyone's Advice, Any Minute Now, Night Versions, This is Radio Soulwax, most of the remixes. TBA, Unofficial, most of the other remixes. It is an album with most of the remixes that weren't included in most of the remixes. Singles Remixes Deus a Everybody's Weird, Einsta 1/4 Zenu Baitna Stella Maris, Coke Yuma, Tahiti 80 Heartbeat, Zeta Swoon My Bond with You and Your Planet, Disco. Muse Muscle Museum, Miss Kitten Requiem for a Hit, Lords of Acid I Sit on Acid 2000, Sucha Babes Round Round, Arthur Argent Hold Your Head Up, Cheka Khan I Feel You, Whitey Leave Them All Behind, Kylie Minogue Can't Get You Out of My Head, Ladytron 17, Playgroup Make It Happen, DJ Shadow 6 Days, David Bowie Rebel, Felix Da Housecat Rocket Ride, LCD Sound System Daft Punk is Playing At My House, Daft Punk Robot Rock, Gorillaz Dare, The Gossip Standing in the Way of Control, Robbie Williams Lovelight, Klaxons Gravity's Rainbow, Justice Phantom Point 2, LCD Sound System Get Innocuous, Hot Chip Ready for the Floor, Human Resource vs 808 State Dominator, West Phillips Sucker for a Pretty Face, Rolling Stones You Can't Always Get What You Want, Walter Murphy and the Big Apple Band A Fifth of Beethoven, The Chemical Brothers Hey Boy Hey Girl, Tiga Mind Dimension 2, Management Kids, Dizzy Rascal Bonkers, Paul Chambers Yeah, Techno. LCD Sound System You Wanted a Hit, Late of the Peer Best in the Class, Goose Rise, Joe Goddard Gabriel, Arcade Fire Sprawl 2, Pulp After You, Metronomy Love Letters, Jungle Julia, Tame Impala Let It Happen, Hot Chip Lights. Production for other Tiga, Sixol, Tiger, Ciao. Das Pop, Peaches Talk to Me, Crookers We Love Animals. Discography as Two Manages, official compilations, as heard on Radio Soulwax. 2, unofficial compilations. These unofficial compilations are bootleg recordings of radio shows that Two Manages did for Studio Brussels, 12 albums, as heard on Radio Soulwax. 02 as heard on Radio Soulwax. 11, Hangour DJs, a bootleg recording of their essential mix for BBC Radio 1 in 2005 was released under the title 50 Million Soulwax Fans Can't Be Wrong. References. External links, official website, Radio Soulwax, part of the Weekend Never Dies DVD review, Soulwaxmas at the Brixton.